Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Now, I wanted to ask you, since you are an expert caregiver and from your own personal experience, what are the best ways to handle stress when juggling life, work, and caregiving?
Well, you're right. I'm a caregiver. I have been a caregiver my entire adult life. I'm currently now caring for my dad, who's 92 and has Alzheimer's disease and lives with me. So I have a new book out, Juggling Life, Work, and Caregiving, which does exactly what you say. Stress is one of the things that eats away at us, and it is a very stressful experience because we're dealing with changes in our loved ones and trying to juggle. 60% of family caregivers are working. So we've got work and we've also got other family members. One of the top things that I think you need to do is to put yourself as a high priority. We often put ourselves at the bottom of the list. In my book, I start with a personal assessment before you even assess the needs of your loved ones, because you need to look at what can you give, what resources are there, look at their needs, and then where are the gaps between what you can provide and what you can't. Then you build your caregiving team. And many people say, oh, I don't have anyone to help me. But you'd be surprised. You'd have to build your caregiving team with friends and family, neighbors, volunteers. My mom's hairstylist used to come to the house sometimes when I couldn't get her there. He was an important part of our caregiving team. You also need to look at your own taking care of yourself, the basics. Get enough sleep. You know, none of us can function when we don't have sleep. You can't cope. And that's what we need the most, those coping abilities when we're caregiving. Eat well, get your exercise, go to your doctors, do all that basic, like routine maintenance, I call it, and then do little things that fill yourself. We expect our cars to run only if they have gas, but we kind of expect ourselves to be able to run on empty, and that doesn't make sense. So look at the things that fill your own tank. It may be, you know, talking to a friend or going for a walk, doing some exercise, getting on Facebook for a few minutes. And also you need a few hours away. You need times periodically when you're going to go away for a couple hours and go to a movie or do something that has nothing to do with caregiving. Take care of yourself. And then periodically you need tune-ups. You need to really go be away for a chunk of time, a week or something like that, if at all possible, to just take a deep breath and work that stress out.
Now, why do you think 1/3 of millennials are now taking on the responsibilities of caregiving?
Well, what we found is actually 1 in 4 caregivers are millennials between the ages of 18 and 34. And it's interesting that younger age range, people think of caregivers as being older, boomers like myself. But the truth is that people are caring across the age range. There are going to be fewer and fewer potential people to care for older loved ones, and I think that's why it's starting to go younger now already. We also see that those caregivers are caring for people who are younger themselves. So, 57, 58-year-olds may be dealing with people who have mental illness, maybe dealing with people who are fighting cancer or having knee replacements or things like that may be temporary. And there's also, people who are suffering from dementia or other issues where they may be helping their parents with their grandparents. But those younger millennials are raising kids and trying to get their careers off the ground, and it's a lot to juggle.
What I found most astounding is that around 40% of millennial caregivers are men. Why is that?
It's actually 40% of all caregivers are men, of all ages. And that's a number that we really see increasing. Again, I think it's partly because, everybody's working. The female caregivers are also working. The responsibilities need to be shared. We know that there are people who have smaller families now, so they're younger adult children. They may not have 5 kids to share the burden, and so the men are getting more involved than they have traditionally. So men have kind of gotten a bad rap and a stereotype about that, but there are really quite a few men who are really engaging in caregiving.
Now, how has technology helped modern-day caregivers, and do you recommend any apps that can help?
Yes, I believe technology is one of the most important things. I have a whole chapter in my book about the organized caregiver, and technology is key for keeping organized. There are just so many things we're juggling. I think one of the greatest, AARP has a new app, the AARP Caregiving app, and it's a free app. Certain aspects that can help you keep track of the calendar, manage your caregiving team, communicate with the team, keep a journal of everything, keep a list of all the medications. That you can take a picture of the medication label, and then it downloads all of the information about that medication. It's a wonderful app. There are also things I use like Evernote to keep notes of everything going on. There are all kinds of technology for organizing in that way. But there also is technology that helps make our lives easier, like motion sensors in loved ones' homes, and the ability to monitor from a distance. We have, medical alerts now with GPS in them even.
I know you mentioned that point about long-distance caregiving. How is that possible, long-distance caregiving?
Many are long distance, and I have been both a long distance caregiver and a live-in caregiver. I actually travel a lot, so in some ways I'm both actually right now. And one of the biggest challenges is just keeping up with everything, knowing what's going on with your loved one and making sure that communication is going back and forth between them and those who are caring for them and yourself. That's where technology really has made a difference, because you can video chat with someone and actually see them and see how they're doing. There are motion sensors you can put all around a home to make sure that they actually get out of bed in the morning and take up their medications. It's just amazing what's available.
Now, I know you are an advocate for adult children caring for their elderly parents, but do you ever think there's a time when putting an elderly parent in a nursing home is the best option?
Yes, sometimes that is the best option. I think it's most important that you look at all the options, all the senior levels of care, the senior housing options, and make sure that it's the best option for your loved one, both financially in terms of affordability and in terms of the level of care. We have lots of great resources on the AARP Caregiving Resource Center for looking at different types of care and levels of care and different housing situations. We also are having a virtual online caregiving fair coming up on November 19th as part of our celebration of National Family Caregiving Month. And there you can chat with experts and a mix and mingle lounge I'm going to host. You can watch video presentations, and definitely they'll be talking about this type of issue. We also have an exhibit hall with resources. There'll be folks there that you can chat back and forth with virtually in a resource library. We're also asking people to do acts of kindness for caregivers. We're trying to encourage people to reach out, do something small but meaningful for a caregiver. You can go to aarp.org/caregiver kindness and submit what you're doing to help caregivers. And in March, we're going to choose 12 winners to split a $10,000 cash prize.
Okay, thank you so much for this information, Amy.
Thank
about,
you.
The AARP's new contest. And again, when does that end?
The contest goes through March, and you can enter once a week. So every week, get on there and submit something wonderful that you've done for a caregiver.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.